Hello everyone, welcome to the Growth Switch with me Cyril. This being episode 4 of the series. If you wish to view the other 3 episodes, remember to go onto the channel so you can watch them and not miss out on those insights. In this week, we will be covering a job search, which can be quite an adventure, to be honest. Because it's either you will find your job with your first search, or it will take you a very long time to find it. So the aim of this episode is basically to guide you on what you should think about, or what you should consider as part of your job search adventure. So the first key thing is you need to make sure you have an up-to-date CV. So your CV should have all the information up to your current role. In terms of formats and what you should include in there, it's best to do research in terms of what's best practice. There's also insights and courses that you can look into, particularly on LinkedIn. If you search, that can give you tips on either the format or what to include and what not to include on there. But what's also key is that you give it to someone else who you know is quite knowledgeable in this field. It doesn't have to be a recruiter. It can be a friend who maybe has a brilliant CV. You can just take a look and just to have someone else take a look at it, before you send it out to recruiters or to potential employers. Just for them to see if you have something on there which either is irrelevant or may open you up to more questions, and see how you phrase that one. And also take any feedback from that process and improve your CV. It's a continuous improvement. Like for me, for example, I work on my CV, I would say at least every month or every 2 months, just to take a look if it's still relevant, and then update it, and just always have a copy ready with me. And then also remember to register your profile on top career sites. So you'll find Careers 24, Career Junction, where you basically register your profile and then you set what kind of roles you're looking for, so that you get alerts when roles that meet that specification are then loaded onto those career sites. You can also go onto, for example, if you want to work, perhaps you want to pursue a career in a banking environment, you can also go into the individual banks' career websites. So on websites, there's always a career section. It's usually either at the top or at the bottom of the homepage, where you find a section that says careers, and you can go in there and you can either search which roles they've got right now, or you can set alerts as well there, in case a role similar to the one you're looking for is uploaded in future. So you can do that. So just identify which industry you want to go into, which entities you're interested in there, and then you go into the career websites of those entities, and you either search for what you're looking for, or you put an alert for what you're looking for. Okay. You also need to partner with recruiters. Now, this one can be a bit tricky, because you get those recruiters who you call up saying you're looking for such and such opportunities in this industry. They sound all excited. You come through, you have the initial interview with them, just to suss out what it is you're looking for in terms of a role, what kind of experience are you looking for, what kind of income bracket are you looking to get into, and so on and so forth. They even take fingerprints, and when you leave there, you leave pumped. You're like, oh, everything is promising, only for them to go quiet, and you never hear from them ever again. I'm not sure who's had that happen to them. I've had that happen to me quite a number of times, actually. So so that's why I say this one is tricky. So how I usually play this one is one of two ways. You either get headhunted by a recruiter, so you get a call from the recruiter who might have gotten your details from somewhere else, and they say, okay, Cyril, there's an opportunity like this and this in this organization. Are you interested to hear more? You know, and then you might say, yeah, I want to hear more, or no, actually, that's not where I want to take my career. You know, and then so that's one of the best ways to go by it, because then at least you're being approached with the opportunity which already exists and you may or may not be interested. Number two, you go via a recommendation. So if you know someone has used a recruiter, the specific recruiter, and they were quite on the ball, they were helpful, then you basically use them because they've come via a recommendation. I've had a few of those that I've used from that sense to great effect. So yeah, it's always good to go through either one of those channels. I'm sure there's others as well, but those two are found to be very effective. Because otherwise, like I was saying, you meet these multiple recruiters, they seem excited and willing to help you, and then they go quiet. You never hear from them ever again. It's as if, I don't know, it's as if maybe they're just trying to collect as much names as possible for their database, not necessarily concerned about the value that they provide to you as part of that whole process. Okay, then you need to, this is also particularly key. So if you've identified an industry you want to get into, you need to network with people from that industry or profession. So what do I mean by that? So if I've identified that I want to be an accountant, I want to be an engineer, I want to be a medical doctor, I need to be networking with people from that space. So I identify Cyril as an accountant. I say, Cyril, listen, I want to get into an accounting profession. Just help me in terms of tips. What do I need to look out for? In terms of experience, what do I need? My CV, what should I position my CV like when I'm looking for opportunities? Where do you suggest I look for opportunities? So it's basically those kind of questions. And what that helps you with is, at times when you have these conversations with people, you will learn about opportunities before they're even available. So you might be chatting to someone and might say, actually, you know what, in my team, I have someone who has resigned because of this and this reason, and we'll potentially have a vacancy in the next month or so. So yeah, just keep your eyes on our careers site for this role when it comes up. So already you know, okay, there's a role that's gonna come up, and I need to watch out and I need to apply for that role. And also, if there's no role at that point, you will at least stay top of mind. When Cyril has a role in future, and he remembers that he had a conversation with you and you were interested in such a role, he'll call you up and say, listen, there's such a role available, we're going to advertise it, just look out for it. If you're still interested in such a role, please apply. And another thing that you can do, I found it particularly works better if you're already employed, but you might try it as well if you're unemployed, is if there's a role that's advertised and you have a contact with the recruiting person, either from the recruitment agency or from inside the company itself, that you ask if it's possible for you to meet the hiring manager. So you've got nothing to lose with this. The worst that they can say is no, you can't meet with the hiring manager. But if you're in luck and they say yes, you can meet the hiring manager, here's the benefit. You meet the hiring manager because you then get insights into this role before you even apply. Is this the role that you think it is? Because sometimes you read a job spec online and it's got all these things, and if you read it cold, you can't really decipher what the role actually is practically. So if you meet the hiring manager, you can get insight into all of that. Number two, once you've met the hiring manager and you actually find out that the role isn't what you're looking for, then you already have some of your branding in there. So you're basically telling the hiring manager, listen, I'm interested in this role, I'm going to apply, please look out for my application. Because now when you apply, remember you're applying with a ton of other people, and your application might get lost in that. But if the hiring manager knows specifically to look out for your application, they will make sure to ask the recruiter, I was expecting an application from Cyril, where is it here? And he says he applied, you know? Now, what that helps you with as well is that first conversation. It will be packaged as a chat, as a catch-up. But actually, come to think of it, that is your first unofficial interview. If you go in there and you're not on top of your game, that hiring manager might actually walk out from that conversation thinking, maybe it's not the right guy. So you must prepare for that conversation. If you are lucky enough to get it, prepare for it as if it's an interview. That's basically how you prepare for that one. Okay. LinkedIn is a must these days. You need to have LinkedIn presence. Recruiters usually search there when they're looking for someone. It's becoming an increasingly popular place to search for recruiters. Also remember, what you put on your LinkedIn headline is very key, right? So if a recruiter is looking for an accountant, they will search accountant. You know what I'm saying? If you're looking for opportunities, and let's say you just graduated with your accounting degree, rather say accounting degree graduate than say looking for opportunities, because when they search you, they will not find you. Rather have something that's going to be a key identifier in terms of what field that you're in, you know, in LinkedIn. Remember also, keep personal posts to the minimum, or don't put them at all. Keep them on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It's a professional environment. Your future employer is on that platform, and they might be watching your activity. So keep it to a minimum. So yeah, those are basically guidelines to help you in your job search adventure, which, like I said, is an adventure. It might take you a month, it might take you much longer. I know people have been unemployed for a much longer period, and it's tough, but the key is to keep pushing, because somewhere along the line you'll hear a yes. You'll hear lots of no's, but you'll hear a yes somewhere along the line. And when you hear that yes, you'll understand why you had to hear all those no's. So if this episode was useful to you, please remember to share it with those who stand to benefit the most. Please subscribe to the channel so that you get notified as more content is uploaded. Remember, we're also on the socials, on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. Remember to follow us there. And yeah, let's keep growing.